Good morning and happy Epiphany. No longer Merry Christmas. It is now January 6th, and we have moved from the 12 days of Christmas into the Epiphany. Today's time together and meditation is really especially directed at our young people, our children in our congregation, who have been going places on the Goombagawatsa. And we're going to go somewhere on the Goombagawatsa today. And all of you older folks, you don't have to be old, just older. All of you are also welcome to join us on the Goombagawatsa. If you have a young person nearby that has been following the Goombagawatsa stories, they can tell you all about what a Goombagawatsa is, or what the Goombagawatsa is. But I'll tell you, just in case you don't have a handy young child near you, the Goombagawatsa, it first looks like a suitcase, a very heavy suitcase that, however, even the youngest child can carry. And you can take it places and set it down, and then there will be a little button on the top of the suitcase that will sort of light up yellow. And you push on that button, and if you don't stand back at that point, there will be a sign on the suitcase that says, "Stand back. Please stand back." And if you don't stand back far enough, it will say, "Stand back, Gary. Stand back, whoever." And it will use your name, which is a surprise because you haven't told the suitcase your name. But so it happens. And as you stand back, the suitcase starts to move and grow and expand in all kinds of directions. And it makes all kinds of funny noises as it does this. It goes and just pops out all over the place into this very large creature that is sort of like a ship and sort of like an airplane and sort of not like anything you've ever seen before. But it has a door, and when you walk through that door, inside is a wall that looks like windows out on to the woods behind your house or the water, and also looks a little like a screen, like a computer screen. And in front of that window, there are a bunch of chairs. And there's a chair for everyone who comes in the door with your name right on it. And so everyone climbs into the Goombagawatsa, finds their own chair and sits down. And then if the children won't tell you, I'll tell you, the next secret is there something you'd really like to eat or drink? Maybe just a nice big warm cup of coffee this time of the morning, or some chocolate. Whatever it is, there's a little button on the handle on the arm of your chair, and you can push that button, and the Goombagawatsa will serve you your heart's content. Then you will want to put your seatbelt on because the Goombagawatsa is going to take us all somewhere. We are going to rise up over the trees and out over the Chesapeake Bay and over the water. Now, another thing about the Goombagawatsa is we don't just travel through space. We also travel through time in the Goombagawatsa. And in this case, since it's Epiphany, we're going to go back to the time of the baby Jesus. The interesting thing is the Goombagawatsa is going to take us not to Bethlehem first, but it's going to take us to Persia, to the desert country where in many ways the first human beings created farms and cities, and a very ancient and beautiful culture in Persia, what we would now call the lands of Iraq and Iran, the great Fertile Crescent. And so we go there, and when we land out of the Gumbagawatsa, we climb out, and the Gumbagawatsa becomes a suitcase for us to carry with, and we carry the Gumbagawatsa with us as we go to meet a man named Artaban. Now, Artaban is sometimes called the other wise man in a story that was written long ago by a man named Henry Van Dyke, an American named Henry Van Dyke, who wrote some beautiful things, many beautiful things, but among them the story about Artaban, which is usually called the story of the other wise man. Now, you might think, okay, we haven't gone to Bethlehem to see the baby Jesus, and so we should go and see the wise men, all of them, and instead we're going to see this one wise man who right now is separated from all the others. And one of the things that I tell you all every year is, remember, in the scriptures there are 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But there is nothing in the scriptures, in the book of the Gospel of Matthew, about how many people were involved in taking those gifts to Jesus. We often think of 3 wise men, but actually it could have been many, many more, and it probably was a whole parade of people and camels. And actually, our friend Artaban, who we are meeting now, is going to meet those other wise men and all those other people who have seen a star in the sky and are going to find the king who is supposed to be born at the foot of that star. Perhaps the last couple weeks you were able to look up in the sky and see what is being called the Christmas star. It's actually 2 planets who grew very close together, Saturn and Jupiter, and became a much brighter star. And maybe that's what these people were seeing in Persia, because it happened about that time as well. Or perhaps they saw something else. We don't know exactly what God used to tell these people to get up and go and make the hard, long journey to go to the Holy Land and meet this king and bring these fancy gifts. One of the things you have to remember is these people in Persia are not Christians, because baby Jesus is just being born. There is no such thing as a Christian anywhere. And they are not Jews like Jesus was. They live in Persia, so they are from a different tradition, a different culture, a different religion, and yet they are very wise, and they know they must make this journey to find out the truth. And so Artaban gathers together 3 of his own gifts. He has a beautiful jewel that is a sapphire, which would be a light blue jewel, beautiful. And then a ruby, which is a dark red jewel. and a pearl. He has these three gifts he is going to take to the new baby king. And he starts off on his journey, and along the way, he finds someone on the side of the road who needs help, and he stops to take care of him. And in taking the time to help this poor man on the side of the road, he misses the caravan of the other wise men who were going to meet Jesus. And he has to then go and buy his own camel and go on his own to try to catch up. And, well, the camels cost his sapphire, his beautiful gift of the sapphire. And he actually buys enough camels so that every one of us can go with him on a camel. Have you ever ridden a camel? I rode a camel once at a zoo, and it's not very comfortable, but it's better than walking in the desert in the sands forever and ever and ever. And so that's what we will do. We will ride on the camel and follow Artaban. And we get to the town of Bethlehem, and it's too late. The baby Jesus and his mother and father have left the city because God had told Joseph in a dream that the baby would be hurt if he stayed in Bethlehem. And so they've run off to Egypt to be safe. And there Artaban finds a woman and her baby son, and he protects them when the Roman soldiers come through to find the baby Jesus. And when they don't find the baby Jesus, they try to kill a lot of children. And this little baby is saved because Artaban gives up his ruby. Then Artaban heads to Egypt, looking for the baby Jesus. He knows that the other wise men have come and gone. They're already going back to Persia, but he wants to find this baby Jesus. And so he heads to Egypt and searches high and low, but doesn't find the baby. Finally, after years and years of hunting and looking and searching and being a great pilgrim, trying to find the truth, he ends up back in Jerusalem, the holy city of God. And it happens to be on the day we call Good Friday, on the day when Jesus died on the cross, a grown man now. And there in the city, he meets a young woman who is about to be sold into slavery. He thinks, I can take this pearl and I can maybe save Jesus from the cross. I need to run and find Jesus and see what I can do. But he also finds this poor woman who needs to be saved from slavery, and he gives up the pearl so that she can be saved. And he then sees his Lord, his Jesus, on the cross. And he hears the voice of God say, remember, Artaban, whenever you have done this for the least of my people, you have done this for me. You have been a good servant. And Artaban can hardly believe it. He thought he had to be there with Jesus, but actually he's been with Jesus all along with all these other people. Even with us, as we rode with him on the camel through Egypt and wandered all over the place. And as he cared for us and as we tried to care for him. And that is the story of the other wise man. It's time for us to get back in the Goombagawatsa So push that little yellow button on the suitcase and stand back. And let's head on back home. And remember that doing loving things is the way we care for God. It's the way we grow more deeply into the love of God and the way we become alive.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, bold of ring to crown him again, King forever, ceasing never, over us long to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Frankincense to offer have I, incense stones a deity tonight, prayer and praising, gladly raising, worshiping God most high. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Glory's mine is